Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we seek to thrive, flourish, and celebrate amazing women. I am Kimberly Wiggins, and we are hosting Inspired Women who are sharing their lives and their stories so that other women may know that the journey to their amazing life is definitely within reach. We are here every week to share resources and information that will help you along the journey to being that inspired woman leading an amazing life. Be sure to check out our new Marriage of Mindset and Marketing series. It's done quarterly, with the next episode being live at the end of March. On that series, we are hosting live coaching with mindset and marketing coaches who share their insights with business owners so they can experience the magic of coupling mindset techniques with marketing strategies. Be sure to listen in, as there's always a great takeaway for every new and seasoned business owner. Remember to like and comment, and most definitely share these episodes with another woman that you admire and who truly inspires you. Or simply share with someone you would like to inspire. Enjoy. Welcome to Inspired Women Amazing Lives podcast, where we seek to inspire the whole woman. We really want to be able to have women to thrive and flourish at whatever stage they're in their business, and for whatever reason they really want to. We want you to do it on your own terms. And today I have a guest, Dr. Yams Williams. And she is an amazing coach. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I am fine. How are you? Now, we're going to call you Dr. Yam, right?
That's what I go by. I go by Dr. Yan, Kimberly.
Wonderful. Okay. So after recovering from a C-level job loss, Dr. Yam knew doing the same 9 to 5 again was not in the cards. So she launched her own dream business. Along the way, designed a signature program and process, and now she helps others to do the same. But she helps you to do it on your terms and your available time and your affordability. She takes the complex and difficult out of the equation, and she is keeping it simple. That's what she does. Welcome, Dr. Yam.
Pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Awesome. I love that you're keeping it simple, and that's what she is. She is a keep it simple coach.
That's correct.
Yes. So, Dr. Yam, if you will, we always start with your story. If you will share your story with us.
I'll be happy to. So I have, over a series of years, I had the pleasure and blessings to have had a very successful career. I started in vocation, where I studied architectural drafting and design, got into drafting, working in construction, and then computers became a thing, believe it or not. That's kind of tells you how far back I go. And I got into technology and started to get really good at applications, and particularly project management. Tools were becoming the thing, and I started off internally in our department, training the guys, mostly who were there, who were in construction and project management. That lent itself to me getting into being a trainer, and I was teaching classes at night. Next thing you know, I got a job as a teacher. I got into teaching. That was not my original intent, but life brings you pleasure, brings you these opportunities, and I took hold of it. and got into teaching full time. And then before I knew it, I got recruited for a consulting firm, and I left Florida and I went to Indiana. Didn't know anybody there, but the opportunity was there and I took it. And that was a really great experience. I had an opportunity then to come back, do some more technology and education. And
Nice.
then I served as a director of instructional technology. I left Florida again and went to Oklahoma. And
Wow.
yeah, I just go where nobody else goes. And so, and from there, I left uh, after about 6 or 7 years of serving in that capacity, went to work with a consulting firm, and I really got into coaching. And coaching in this, from the standpoint at that point in time, was in education. So we were supporting teachers and principal leaders. So and mine was pretty much on the leadership and the superintendencies, and helping them to transform and shift the changes that they were looking to do in their organization. So from that standpoint is where the coaching kind of stems from. And then I left there and got into, I got recruited and served a stint as chief academic officer in New York, one of the school districts there. And while it was a great job to have, we came into a circumstance that was not pretty, and unfortunately left me having to leave my contract. And so typically that's not what you plan on doing when you get to that point in your life and you're in this kind of trajectory and you're going there. And it wasn't a pretty situation, unfortunately. It got headlines and all that other stuff. And unfortunately, I can't get into too much of it because we are in litigation. But it got me to thinking that in as much as I have a desire to continue my profession and going into educational leadership, as that was my doctoral studies, um, I tried. There wasn't. I was not as successful getting back into the race given the circumstances. And
Hmm.
so when things like that happen to you, you really have to kind of figure out. While your plan A may have to be put on pause, um, you have to figure it out and kind of come to grips because staying still is not really an option. It certainly isn't for me. I'm not that type of person. But so I kind of came through what I call the recovery is that there's an opportunity for you to kind of get through the ugliness, the mess of it, and kind of figure out what can you do given the circumstances. There may be some constraints, as was in my particular case. Um, so I got in. I did what I knew, and that was I knew I had good relationships. I had relationships with vendors and people who were in my inner circle, in my kind of peripheral circle of people, and they reached out to me, I reached out to them, and I just started consulting and figured maybe this is something that, can hold me for sure. And but I kind of took ownership of it in a way, in that I was like, so now that I have this opportunity, what can I do with it? And so I started small because it's just me, and
Hmm.
um, got into doing the consulting, doing the coaching, working inside of school districts as a contractor, essentially with publishing companies and ed firms and things who were getting these contracts, and I was delivering the services for them. And that's how I started my business, which is Synergy Solutions Partners. And so that is my education and leadership consulting firm. And I was able to take that on and grow it. And now, while I still have a desire to go back into my leadership, I have a full-fledged business. So what I tell people is I went from solopreneur to entrepreneur, because now I get contracts and I hire and subcontract out work because the scale of the work can be large. And so now it's grown, and I've been able to thrive as a result of being diligent, working with getting good, staying focused on the work. And so, as a result of that experience of building a business, my other passion has always been around entrepreneurship. And I've had an opportunity to do things on the side as I have. My father had his own jewelry business, so I've always been exposed to owning a business and that entrepreneurial kind of DNA that I have, and so it's always been kind of churning in the background. And now with me having executed my own full-fledged business, um, I noticed that I was attracting people who were lacking in their desire to wanting to start a business. And so, and I kept getting that experience where people were saying, "Oh, I'd like to do it, but I'm not really sure." "Oh, I've started a business." And when they're telling me stuff, I'm like, "No, you're not really running a business. So you're lacking in some things." And so I saw it as an opportunity. How can I share what I've done, how I've been able to figure it out? And I do like to take complex things and make them simple, because running a business doesn't have to be hard, and it doesn't have to be complex. And I help people to do just that. And so the Keep It Simple Coach leg of my company does just that. We work with those who aspire to launch a business idea and get them the support services that they need, as well as those who are in their first 3 years of their business, because those are the critical years, and want to give them the extra support that they need, get the systems and structures in place, and provide them the opportunity where they can learn and they can lead and they can grow their business. And so that's essentially how I kind of got started with Keep It Simple Coach.
Very nice. Yes. So you've done a ton of things there. Wow. Very, very nice.
Stay busy.
Yeah, yeah. And then you run another.
That's my business. I run it. So you can kind of say I practice what I preach.
Yes.
So I am running a full business and helping others do the same. And the thing that I like about it is it allows me to share my experiences as I'm going through it with my clients or my community that I have. Because I think practicality is important in the sense that people need to know that you're authentic in that way. I mean, there's
Right.
certainly lots of people out there and they're selling programs and they're doing things, but that's all they're doing. I don't know too many who are actually doing the work and running a full-fledged business and going through the pitfalls and the challenges and all those things. I have a coach. I have someone that coaches me because I don't know everything. There were some pieces of parts that I knew I wanted to get better in, so I tap into coach. And also, my relationship with John Maxwell is another entity that I kind of leverage in both areas. My John Maxwell certification as a coach, speaker, and trainer really lends itself from a leadership perspective. And so I have coaches that come out of that community as well. So I am surrounded by good people and resources.
Good. Very good. Yes, absolutely. Well, you're doing some amazing things. Now, share with us, if you will, Dr. Yam, what would you say that makes Keep It Simple Coach unique? We've got a lot of coaching businesses and solopreneurs, entrepreneurs who are coaching. What is it about Keep It Simple Coaching that makes it unique?
I think for me, one is I do it in the evening. So again, being in practical time, many of the individuals that I work with, especially those who are on the aspiring lane, they're working full time. They have lives, they have families. And I'm working my business during the day. And so I thought it was really important that I be accessible in a realistic fashion. And so my coaching and my communities all happen in the evenings or weekends. And because I think while there's an opportunity for, yes, you can get on recordings, that's not always the best thing for some people. They want to be able to know that you are at kind of like hands reach and can be accessible. So I wrap my services in that way. One, I'm running my business, and my business is a 9 to 5, daytime for the most part. But this, for my coaching clients who are either working or pursuing their dreams and or are working a full-time business themselves, I don't want that to take away from the functions that they have to carry out. So I feel as though one of the unique things that I have is that I'm your nighttime coach.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. That's very nice. Yes, a lot of business owners, I'm sure, appreciate that, simply, like you said, because they're working during the day.
Yeah, and you're able to focus on the work, their business,
Right.
and their operations. Now, I may come in during certain times, because I have some people who may be like retail front-facing entities. They're not all home-based or service-based. So if you're retailing and stuff, then there may be opportunities when, yes, I need to come in and kind of see things on the ground level and work with you in that lens, if that's what you're looking for from a consultative way. But then from coaching, we typically, it's a little bit more intimate. And in those instances, then we kind of take it offline.
Absolutely. Good. I like it. Now, you work with both men and women. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So have you found the dynamics in coaching to be different for men and women working from, both aspects? I'm just curious because I work with only women. I do a very similar thing that you do, but I only work with women.
Right. There's not much difference. However, what I will say is that men probably are not as forthcoming and wanting to have a coach, or even understand what coaching is. So I think usually my clients, when I engage with them, if they're coming into my Facebook community, then they're reaching in and I certainly accept them. So they already kind of know that they want some help. But there'll be other instances if I'm in some type of a setting, a face-to-face setting, and I'm speaking with an individual. I'll give you a good example that I did one the other week. And we were in a kickoff. It was a community. It was pretty much for women, actually, but he showed up.
Uh-huh.
I think he was there to support someone. But anyway, we just got to talking, and he was sharing with me some struggles that they were having as a company he was leading. And I kind of almost had an instant kind of coaching conversation, like, and probing a little bit. And so he was like, and I said, well, coaching is what I do. And it sounds like you could really, you might want to consider coaching. He's like, oh, I'm coachable. So, so which is what coaches love to hear.
Yeah.
That he was very open to it. He was like, yeah, I really think that when I tell people sometimes you just need a thought partner. Especially if you're in this work by yourself, you don't technically have someone you can bounce off ideas, get some type of feedback, give you some structure, and also kind of be what I call a critical friend. And what I mean by that is I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to have the coaching conversation, and most of that comes through questioning. But the push, I'll push on people to kind of say the why and why aren't you, and also be your accountability partner at the same time, because that's the only way you're going to really be able to move the needle. And so, but from a male to woman perspective, once they recognize value in coaching, then it's pretty much level playing field from that point out. I think from an executive coaching, men and women are fairly equal in that sense too. I get a lot of referrals, and they're men as well. Like, again, one, they know it's a good thing for them to have. It's personalized for them. And it's also intimate in that it's closed and it's a safe space. So once you can build that trust mechanism between them, then they're pretty much the same.
Yeah. One thing, our journeys are kind of very similar because I started out in doing executive coaching and working with middle managers mainly. One of the things that I found, though, is that in that world, men are so much more open to coaching in that world. And when I first moved over to business coaching, to me, they weren't as receptive when it came to that. So
Yeah.
interesting.
And sometimes it also, one of the things, and as you mentioned, some organizations, when I was in educational consulting, some of that coaching came from the top, meaning
Hmm.
everybody was getting it. You were receiving some, and
That's
then
true.
what we would do, we were kind of customizing the coaching based on wherever those intended needs were, based on where those persons were in their work, um, in their work development, and where those needs were. But for many of them, they thought they were getting coaching and they really weren't. So there was this kind of like unpacking or kind of undoing, unbrainwashing them, because what they were getting was not coaching. And
Hmm.
so when we were starting the coaching cycles and the conversations, they were like kind of like deer in the headlights, like, what are we doing this for? And I'm like, this is coaching. And so much of that came from the fact that what they were getting from their supervisors or their immediate, folks that they reported to was more consulting and evaluative,
Hmm.
versus when you're in a coaching cycle, you're somebody typically is on the outside, and we're not evaluating. We're just trying to help you get to a better place
Right.
in how you can be a better person in your work.
Hmm.
And so once they understood that, it took a little bit of time, because there had just been a not a good representation of what was true coaching and what did that look like. So it was a lot of unbrainwashing we had to do before we could get into a very progressive lane.
Nice. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Now, Dr. Yam, I know you have a doctoral degree
Mhm.
in educational leadership, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and of course, you told us your story about being back in in these different roles, moving through these different opportunities, and it's somewhere along the way you got your doctoral degree because you really thought that you were going to be in this world for quite some time, didn't you?
Oh yeah. And I think in the way even I got to the opportunity to pursue the degree was all as a true blessing, because it was not on my radar. It wasn't something I was planning on doing. I had just finished, not that long ago, had I finished my master's degree, which was in project management. It was a set of circumstances that I got pulled into a program, and it was sponsored. So
Nice.
yeah, that's always a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was a candidate, and I was a recommended candidate from my superintendent at the time when I was in Oklahoma. And there was a cohort that was being funded by a philanthropic entity that was sponsoring it, because the school
Nice.
district and the community really wanted to grow leadership, and they know they needed to have succession planning, which they knew was important, and they wanted to grow people from the kind of that grassroots and grow from
Right.
within. And so there were about 25 of us who got brought into the University of Oklahoma, and it was a partnership between the University of Oklahoma and University of rather and Tulsa Public Schools. And I was one of the candidates, and so it was certainly a blessing. And I took full advantage of it. And I also was a good steward. And I think that's another thing that people need to realize is, when you get opportunities like this, that the commitment has to be there. You need to want it and have a passion for it. And while I never saw myself pursuing it, my father, however, always wanted me to be a doctor. So
Oh, you got his dream filled
that
there.
has been, yes, I did. So I managed to work out a dream for him right before he passed. So I was
Nice.
very fortunate for that. But it was a wonderful experience. And so leadership was something that I thought was beneficial for me. I was serving in a role of leadership, but taking a deeper dive in the study of leadership in the context of education, and also how to help others in their pursuit. So that was the studies of it. My dissertation was a bit different. That was pretty much more on an academia and middle school students who were working in adverse situations. And so that was kind of what my study was around. But leadership in and of itself, I thought, is always interesting and can also be very beneficial. And as an entrepreneur, you are leaders. And I think that's something
Absolutely.
that sometimes they lose sight of is and I actually bring that to the forefront and when I speak about the Small Biz Society, one of my Facebook groups, is that you're there to learn, to lead, and to grow your business. And so I do bring in the leadership practices and principles that come from, in my case, I use John Maxwell as my mentor and coach. And so I bring those resources and source strategies to the forefront for business leaders.
Yeah, Dr. Yam, you make a very good observation there. And what I like to challenge people to do is, society has kind of groomed us into believing that the only people that are leaders are the leaders that we see on television, or the people that we see in politics in our communities. But
Yeah.
those I challenge people to recognize the fact that they themselves, in their everyday roles, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, they are leaders. They're leaders for their lives. They're leading their family, they're leading their children, they're leading in whatever role they're in. So leadership is not confined to just that role that society has taught us that it is. Leadership is at every level in the lives of everyday people. And
And one of the things that we practice through in our John Maxwell community is that leadership is influence, nothing
yes,
more and nothing less. And so your role in whatever it is that you're pursuing, just as you mentioned, falls from a leadership lens, and it's how you take that and own it, because the way that you behave, the way that you think, all of those pieces and parts lend itself from a leadership perspective. And it's leadership is not about position,
no, it's not.
and it is certainly about how you embrace the your mindset and understanding from where you stand. How do you add value to other people? And that's what coaching is for me.
Hmm.
It's that way from consulting services that we provide, is how are we able to add value? Because from my Synergy Solutions company, our motto essentially is that we want to leave you better or different than when we first met. That's what synergy is about, and it's about a relationship.
Hmm.
And so we kind of so I marry that, and that's how I lead my life.
Very nice. Um, we are going to we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss how Dr. Yam coaches her clients. And then she's going to coach me. We'll be right back.
Rosie Batista here, the Queen of Card Decks, at your command. Well, not really, but kind of. You want to make a deck of cards for your business? Your wish is my command. I fell in love with card decks years ago, collected them and started making them for myself and my own brand. Then I started to make them for other people's businesses. And now I have a self-study course where I teach you how to create your own card deck. It's 6 easy modules with easy to understand how-to videos, an active and exciting private Facebook group, 2 live components which include an open Q&A and open office hours so you can come in and get what you need. I want you to become queen of your domain, rule your niche, and rein in extra money. A card deck is the perfect way to do that with a really fun and useful physical product. For 2019, the cost is only $247 for all of that. I take the stand that nobody gets out of my course without their own card deck. I sure hope to see you there. Come on over to queenofcarddecks.com and check it all out.
Right. We're back. Now, it's Dr. Yam, I really want to know specifically, how do you work with your clients?
Mhm. After an onboarding, so I typically take people through an onboarding cycle, interview process, and they also complete an assessment, which we don't have the luxury of doing today, but it is a personalysis assessment, and what that allows me to do is to really figure out or find out from this individual their communication style and what their strengths are. There's typically 4 different communication styles that people have. We all have all 4 of them. It's which one is your dominant one. And what that also helps me to do by looking at that data, it allows me to facilitate the coaching and the conversations in a way that's going to yield a better relationship, and that we can make the different goals that you're striving for. And it helps me just how can I best communicate with you, and vice versa. So we typically once we go through an agreement that yes, this is something we want to do, we go through the assessment, and then I do kind of keep it simple, and I go through what I call a grow method. And so the first thing we talk about is, what is your goal? Not what is your problem, but what is your goal? And it can be whatever they want, because it's their goal, it's what they're on. My role as a coach is to facilitate the conversation and help questioning you in order for you to move from where you are to where you want to be. So therefore, to me, goals are essential. So we typically will go through just kind of identifying what are some key things that you want to see happen or change. And then we either pinpoint 1 or 2, try not to go with more than 2 or 3 goals in and of itself, depending on the length of the coaching cycles. Some could be as short as 3 months in iterations of every other week, or some variation. So I let my customers decide the commitment levels that they want. So essentially, we identify what that goal is, and typically a goal needs to be specific. So we use a SMART method to initialize that, where it needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be attainable, it needs to be realistic, and it needs to be timely. Mm-hmm. So we kind of frame out and go through an exercise of establishing those goals. And then from there, I kind of do what we call reality check. And a reality check is, let me ask you some poignant questions centered around what you're trying to accomplish. Like, what are you doing now? And is that really what you ought to be doing? How can that be done differently? So we kind of get a reality check. So tell me your situation. Take off the hat, and give me the lay of the land, because I can't help you if I really don't understand what the situation is right now. Mm-hmm. And you lying or keeping things from me isn't going to help any. You're just wasting your time, and you're going to be paying me whether you lie or not. So we're going to, I just mm-hmm. keep it real from that perspective. So we get to that kind of what I call a reality check. And then what are the options? What are the things that are workable? What are doable things that we could be working around? What are some of your constraints that, may not be plausible at this particular time? We may need to think about how we can either work around it, work through it, get rid of it, but what are the options? And then we really just kind of go through what we call, the what, the where, the why, kind of, again, through questioning, kind of figuring out where are you in this goal. And then through that questioning is part of the ongoing conversations. I typically leave, we'll settle on a particular goal. And in a goal, doesn't mean that in one call we're going to have it accomplished. We're talking about long-term goal, or at least short-term goals for most of my customers. And short-term meaning 90-day cycles are at minimum. They could be shorter, and then those are what we call those milestones inside of the 90 days. So what are things that, in order to get to the goal, what are some objectives? What are specifics that we can accomplish between now and the next time that we meet. So we set up mini goals or objectives, and those are the action tasks. Those are the things that, what are you going to do between now and the next time that we meet? What am I, if necessary, what am I going to do? I might need to find you some resources, bring you in some tools, come out and do an observation. So we have those kind of agreed upon pieces and parts. And so in between our hour-long or 90-minute long sessions, when we're meeting routinely, my clients are able to email me or text me, either I do quick check-ins with them, just to kind of say, keep things top of mind, because we are still working our business or working as an employer until we make it to entrepreneur. So those are the things that they can kind of do in the middle of those sessions, because we don't want to lose sight of it and don't feel as though it lessens the probability of you not getting anything done. It keeps us connected at the same time. So that's, in a nutshell, how I like to facilitate the coaching, and my clients seem to like it. Some of my clients, depending on where they are, everything is customized. So I don't have a cookie cutter approach necessarily, and everybody. Now I do in some cases I might embed training and teaching as well into that coaching conversation, because just the nature of what they're trying to accomplish. And I might go over a tool, I might train them on a strategy, things like that. So it's not just conversation, but I'm building capacity with them as they're trying to pursue their goals. So everything is customizable. And then that's on a one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching, which is more like-minded individuals kind of coming together, and that may also have kind of similar circumstances. Mostly it's because they're all in a business operation. Doing it in a group coaching setting, when there's others there, there's a great group think. You're able to share ideas, and it's more affordable. So that's the other thing. So sometimes I tell people, well, if one-on-one coaching may not be for you right now, but why not join an upcoming Let's Get Busy group coaching that I run from time to time. And there, again, we kind of meet up and do a similar thing, but just in a group setting.
Very nice. Wow. So there are a lot of different ways that people can work with you. And I know you have a couple of programs, like you said, that are group and individual programs. So I want you, Dr. Yam, to coach me.
Okay.
All right. So here is, and this is something I try to do so people will get a good twofold kind of, people getting an understanding of what coaching can be like, just a little taste of it. And also just what your coaching style may be like. So,
right.
So I'm a new business owner. I'm working a full-time job, 9 to 5. I want to transition. Let's say, and believe it or not, this is something I hear pretty regular from potential clients who are trying to transition. I would like to transition in 6 months to a year, closer to the 6-month side. And so I have my ideas for my business, but I need some clarity and some structure, and I need some help just trying to figure out how to fit this into my now already busy schedule, because I've got family and children and working this 9 to 5, and sometimes my job works overtime, and so I got a lot going on.
Okay.
So coach me.
So Kimberly, when you think about all that you just mentioned, and that life is busy, if you didn't have to work, what would your day look like if you were running your business? Talk to me about what would that day look like if you did not have to go to work that day. So tomorrow you're not going to work. You're going to start your business. I want you to share with me the vision of how you see running your business.
So the way I see it is I would get up in the morning and have some time for me first. I would spend my time first thing in the morning with just me, being able to meditate and spend some quiet time alone, and get my mind right for my day. And then I would get my kids off to school and my husband out of the house, and then I would be able to start my work day for my business.
And what would that look like?
I would want to be able to not get overwhelmed, because I'm not a big social media fan or email fan. So I don't want to start my day with social media. I don't want to start it with email. What I want to be able to do is have an idea every day of what is the most important thing for me to get done first thing in the morning. And hopefully it relates to somehow me making money first thing in the morning.
So Kim, what I did not hear is, what is your business?
Okay. So my business is I'm a virtual assistant. I help women get things done in their business so they can have more time for their real business operations. So I take all their back end stuff off the table so they can really dig into their own businesses.
Okay. So you are running an virtual assistant business.
Mm-hmm.
And how many clients would you say you would like to acquire?
Now that's tough for me to figure out, Dr. Yam, to be honest, because I'm new, so I don't have many clients, but here's the deal. I already know what it's like to have a job. And if I get too many clients, I'll just have another job. And I really don't want another job.
Okay.
Because it's only me doing all this work for a bunch of other clients, right?
Well, Kim, I love that you have a vision. You certainly know what you want to do. Can I ask, what got you interested in wanting to become a virtual assistant? Because, like, what do you do now, and how does that lend itself to being a virtual assistant? Or are you just going after a totally different path?
No, I'm an executive assistant in the job that I work in during the day. I
Okay.
already enjoy it. I already know what it feels like to second guess what people want and help them get that and help get that done for them. So I thought it would be the next best thing if I just did what I do during the day for myself, for other business owners.
Okay. So you enjoy what you do now,
Mm-hmm.
but you would like to be able to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a sense for, um, let me put it a different way. The virtual assistant business that you just spoke of,
Mm-hmm.
and noting what you just shared about what you know your morning. So you went through a lot of logistics,
Mm-hmm.
which is great that you envision how you see starting your day, and then you immediately went into what you didn't want to do.
Right.
And being overwhelmed and wanting to not get into social media and emailing. So my question would be, what type of virtual assistant would you be? Because what would you be specializing in?
I really want to specialize in, you know, I don't want to do other people's email because I don't like email. I don't want to do other people's social media because I don't like social media. But I will be able to do any other task they have for me to do. And so I could help them keep track of their schedule. I could help them create content. I could help them get things scheduled in their social media as long as I'm not actually doing the social media.
Okay.
So this was an actual person for real, Dr.
Okay. So, Kimberly, it sounds like we have some goal setting that we could do. I hear the passion that you have for being of value to other people and taking the skills that you currently apply, and that's going to work really great for you. Um, and that there certainly are some options. Since you are still working full time, I think one of the things that's going to be important is that we figure out your story, figure out the skills and the expertise, and kind of design your portfolio. So after hearing a bit in this short time of what you're wanting to do, I'd love to work with you to kind of establish your passion, your purpose, your mission statements, get a timeline together. You said you wanted to be able to transition in 6 months. That's a I'm not going to say that's a lofty idea. I don't know your financial situation. Obviously, that is another talking point. That that reality check is, do you have enough stability to make the shift necessary? And also the fact that being in business for yourself doesn't mean it's going to be less hectic. However, you can design your program and your services in such a way that you can attract the people that you want to pay the fees that you want to leverage the income potential that you're looking for. So that would be some of the conversations that we could get into. But I certainly would love to have an opportunity to be your thought partner and be your critical friend and provide you the push and the support that would be necessary to help you to reach your goals so that you can have the me time that you want and have the financial comfort that you're looking for and make the shift happen and add value to your skills that you bring to the other people without emailing and social media.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yam. I'll tell you what I really like about what you coached me with is that you I think the word sometimes coach is overused.
Mm.
And what made me feel really comfortable was the fact that you did not you didn't really use that word. You didn't use it at all. What you said was you were going to be my thought partner. I love that. You were going to give me the push and the support that I needed. And you really did not focus on the fact that you were going to coach me. It almost, that coaching, the traditional coaching model, of course, is where you're coming alongside someone and walking with them on that journey. And with the way you address that, you talked about the different things you were going to help me unpack and the things that you were going to help me build, like my portfolio, and unpack my personality and figure out exactly what my specifics would be for the work that I was going to do. So you talked about all those things. And it sounds like we were going to do them together. And I really like that. I really like that.
I think that what I tell, one of my kind of closing statements when I write my blogs is I always remind people that just because you go into business for yourself doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself.
Right.
And as a solopreneur in Pacific, but even entrepreneurs, small business owners, at the end of the day, you are the leader of your company. And so sometimes it can be a very lonely space in that you don't have someone that you can lean on and find out whether or not, because we question ourselves all the time. There's going to be times of doubt. There are going to be opportunities that come your way and you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't think that I would be able to, get all of these customers. Believe it or not, one of the fear factors, I still don't, I'm trying to understand the psychology of it. So it's one of my studies is there are a lot of people who are fear of success. And they don't even know it. But their behavior and their language I can sense from that I was like, it's not that you lack a skill. It's not that you lack a passion.
Right.
But the word choices sometimes that I hear from that come out of people's mouths, it's like, so you do realize, as I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. Whatever you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back. And if you put out that negative type of space, or that you see, and then we don't all have a healthy sense of money. And that's a whole nother psyche piece for a lot of people that struggle. And sometimes we have to get through a lot of those little barriers. And that's kind of that reality check is, do you have a good sense of understanding what is money and how you value it? And then how do you attract it into your life by the way in which you manage money? So sometimes we have to get really fundamental in some spaces. A lot of people see if you know that terminology about the iceberg, and that people just see the tip of the iceberg and they see the success of people, but they don't necessarily understand all of the hard work that's taking place beyond. The iceberg below the water surface is huge. And the work that you see people doing every day, you don't see that work. You don't see the person staying up until 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for a presentation, getting ready to prepare a proposal, getting ready to get the team in place and to deliver those services. All you see is end results. And so that's what people get, this kind of a skewed sense of success. And, oh, well, they're just running around. They're a consultant. They just run around all day and they just coach. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. And so when you take people to that reality check, it's like, I work hard every day to get the customers and to keep my customers. And it takes a lot of work. I got to write RFPs. I've got to be in meetings. I got to keep notes. I got to keep a whole bookkeeping system. I got to pay people. That ain't pretty work. You just see me getting in and out of my car, zooming from place to place, and you think that's cute. But that's not the real work. The work is me standing here in my home office at 1 o'clock in the morning, thinking and preparing. That's the real work.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I fully get it. I mean, that is the glamour of consulting and coaching that people look at, and then they think, oh, I want that.
Yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, you maybe can do it, but are you willing to do the real work? So in your particular situation, in the character that you were playing, I was sensing that she immediately told me what they didn't want to do. And I'm like, you don't understand that you're probably going to work twice as hard.
Right.
Being accountable to yourself because you got everything to lose.
Right.
You don't have a safety net anymore. You don't get to call in sick when you're working for yourself. Now you can take your sick day and but you don't have a safety net anymore. So the mental readiness of going into business for oneself, that entrepreneurial mindset, is one of the first things that a part of what I have with my five building blocks to starting a small business is centered around. Is you've got to get your mindset right in entrepreneurship first. Then we can tackle all the other pieces, because the other pieces are more tactical in a sense. They're tasking things that you can carry out. But the mind piece, that's the heavy lift right there.
That is a heavy lift. That's a very heavy lift. I have a program that does a similar thing, Dr. Yam, and the mindset module is just is short as the other modules. But there's, because I'm assuming that some people that come there, some people that are coming there for that group program has already done a lot of that heavy lifting. But what I'll find sometimes is that people haven't done that heavy lifting. And I'm honest with them. I tell them I'm really reluctant to keep you in the program simply because of the fact that you really won't be able to you're fooling yourself. You really won't be able to do it because you haven't done the heavy lifting. Because sometimes there's a lot of heavy emotional,
Yes.
I call them emotional links from your
Mm-hmm.
past that are weighing you down. And so
Yes.
until you can unpack those, until you can acknowledge those, until you can address those, you won't ever be able to get to the place where you're really starting your business and being successful. You start, and then the links grab you again and they pull you back, and then you stall out, and then you'll start, and it'll be a vicious cycle.
You bring up a good point too around this was a session that I ran coaching kind of a 5-day challenge with my group, and it was called removing the money blocks, because that essentially is kind of part of that mindset. If you don't have a good sense of the reason why people are hesitant or fear of failure of managing, or a lack of, is the fact that they don't have a good experience in understanding money. And where does that come from? And typically it comes from childhood, or it comes from a really bad experience. And so it kind of lays there. And unless you can, remove those blocks in a way of at least acknowledging it so that you can pursue the dreams that you want, it's always going to be there in your path. And it makes it even harder for you to take on the other necessary tasks, because it's going to be that kind of like elephant in the room that's always there.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that can simply be an exercise. So I used to tell my friends, although sometimes it doesn't come across that way, but I said, I'm an elephant killer. And everybody's like, you're a what? I said, I'm an elephant killer. I'm about killing the elephant in the room. Let's deal with the situation head on, so that you can move on. If you don't deal with it head on, you can't move on. And so, that's that reality check. We just have to figure it out. And some people are going to go through it sooner or not. And I love the fact that you were bringing up when you said, I want to be able to do it in 6 to 12 months. And and it's so odd. And what's so ironic about it is when I'm doing project management and people, they pull these dates out of thin air.
Yes.
And I always focus on them and I question them, because someone's like, well, let's get it done by the 15th.
Yeah.
What is this? The 1st, the 15th, and the 30th are the most, pull out of the air dates. And I'm like, do you even know what the day lands on? You don't even have a clue. You just picked it out of thin air. And I'm like, and how do you see getting it done on that day? Like, what's so magical about it? There was nothing practical about getting it done. So I pushed back and it was like, and so let's talk about, how do you see getting it done by the 15th? And then 9 times, that's that reality check question, right? How do you see getting that done? And 9 times out of 10, man, we're not going to be doing that on the 15th. I already knew that when they said it. I have to bring them into the land of reality. I was like, and how do you see getting that done? And so the same thing with 6 months. I'm like, okay, so in 6 months, you're going to have at least 8 months of income saved aside so that you can leave your business. And how do you see getting that done? That's a coaching conversation in and of itself. And so again, people then take pause. And so it's just funny how we see success, we see an end road, but the reality is it's probably going to take you a little bit long. You can certainly get it done. I never tell anybody you can't do it, but are you willing to put the work in to get it done? And given in that particular situation you mentioned, you got kids, you got a family, you still have to go to work every day. So unless you start creating the habits, and that's the reason why I asked the question. So how do you see envisioning yourself doing the work you want to do? Because then we can start formulating some habits, even right now. Are you able to set aside an hour a day to do X? Simply focus on the things that are related to your business.
Right.
And those are the habits of mind, and that's that entrepreneurial mindset that we start working through. And practically, there's very few people you can certainly get ready, but get ready and launch in 6 months. You've got to be very aggressive and very focused.
Yeah. A lot of people struggle just that one little habit you talked about, the entrepreneurial mindset of being able to set aside an hour a day to work on your business.
It's huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's huge. A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So time management is another critical task that we tend to work on a lot.
Absolutely. You can talk about all the great things you're going to do, but unless you have managed your calendar, yeah,
Yeah, and my
absolutely.
calendar is my best friend.
Mine too. I
My BFF.
Yes. I don't even rely on what's in my head anymore. I tell people, I don't know how people live without a calendar. I'm like, don't try to schedule an appointment with me via text. No, I need you. I'm gonna send you a link. I need it on my calendar. Um, yeah, it's my calendar is it runs. Some people don't like that, but for me, my calendar runs my day. That way, I'm not trying to remember a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
not. I don't want to.
Plus, it gets you to prioritize, and that's something
Yes.
else. Because, like in your character, there are things that she knew she wanted to do. She knew that she needed to have some me time first thing in the morning. That was apparently maybe she's not even getting that now. So
Hmm.
that would probably be a set of behaviors that I would ask that person to walk through and say, I want you to figure out when do you need to go to sleep? In fact, I have a a morning makeover challenge thing that some of your clients may be interested in finding that on my website. But just even Monday routines, morning routines, and just
Hmm.
shifting that piece in and of itself is a game changer for a lot of people, because it's almost like you have to give yourself permission to
Yes.
use your time,
Yes.
believe it or not. I'm
Hmm.
not a morning person.
Me either. I'm a night owl.
I'm a
Yeah.
night owl
I
too.
saw that
So
on your website. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm a night owl.
I mean, I will get up because for my clients, I'm gonna be there. But naturally, I mean, I like mornings. I don't, I'm not high functioning in the mornings. I'm just not wired that way. I think it is genetic, because my father was the same way. Um, so yeah, those are just some of those just habits. I want to tell your listeners that it's about a mindset and getting into the habit of being an entrepreneur first and foremost. And that's before you make a dime. If you can get that going, you're going to be ahead of the pack.
Yes. Yes. So thank you, Dr. Yam. Make sure that you look out for Dr. Yam on her website, keepitsimplecoach.info. And I will have all of this information on the podcast page. Also know that you can find Dr. Yam on many of your social media networks. She has a Facebook page. She has a Facebook group, womengettingmad.com. I love that. Um, and
And the MAD stands for motivated, accountable, and developing.
Nice. Yes. Love it. So she's on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I will put all the links to this on her page. And I know you have a free gift for my audience.
Oh
Bland
yeah.
to Bling. Tell us all about it.
Yes, bland to bling. I can't even say bland because it's not in my vocabulary. But bland to bling is what I call my supersized checklist. There are 50 things that you can do to enhance your website so that you can attract more clients. So for those of you who have already started your business and you have a website, this gives you an opportunity to kind of give it a second look, kind of give what I call a facelift. And so I put together a book, and it's 50 things that you can do to take your website from bland to bling. And that is available. I have a link there for you. You'll have that on the podcast as well,
Yes.
page. So you can download that for free.
I love it. I love it.
And we're going to be, and then we're starting an upcoming, there'll be a link for you all as well. We're going to be starting a 30-day challenge on becoming a better blogger for your biz. A lot of my customers and people inside of my space, Facebook space, always talk about that they just struggle with marketing. And so that's why I do the blah to bling, because content marketing is the fundamental aspects to an integrated marketing plan. And you just don't want to have like a marketing plan is very comprehensive and can be overwhelming. And so I out the pieces and parts of a comprehensive strategic plan. And so right now we're focusing on content marketing, and your content marketing is your website, and it's an ability to blog. And so if you're not blogging right now for your business, this is an opportunity for you to kind of take hold and get better at it. And so it's a 30-day email a challenge that you can enroll in, and I'll be working alongside you in some cases. So just know that that's one of my other freebies that we have.
Very nice. Yes. 30-day email blogging challenge. That's really nice. Yes. Audience, definitely take a hold of that. Now, Yamila, you talked about you being the neighborhood hustler from the age of 9. And you've done a lot of things: snow shoveler, babysitter, lemonade stand, bake sale, book sales. Oh, wow. Yeah. Very
Yeah, it's if you go, so I grew up in New York, in the suburbs, but I just kept myself busy, and that was just a natural thing. No one said, yeah, I'm gonna go out and shovel the snow and get paid for it, because I was like, I see other people doing that and they make the money. Why can't I make some money? And it just was something I just naturally did. So when you hear my friends talk about, they're always like, yeah, I always had that book sale going on in her driveway and had the lemonade stand. And then I used to we used to have a beautiful dogwood tree in our front yard. And I would take the flowers off of the dogwood and I would make leis. I would sew them in making these floral leis. And I would sell them, and so the people in my neighborhood said, "Here come that child again with something to sell."
That is so nice.
I've just always had that entrepreneurial DNA in my spirit, so it's just always been with me. I was probably selling something in my mama's womb, and I didn't even know. Like, who knows?
Very nice. Oh, wow. You said one of your favorite quotes is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. John Maxwell. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And I want to let your listeners know that it's the matter of taking the first step. And you don't have to be good at it. You do need to be comfortable in it. You do want to do something that you love to do, and be passionate about what you want to do in your business. Because one of the stats does show that, you hear a lot about the failures of businesses in the papers and on the news, and it's always, a little disheartening. But one of the things that, in one of the statistics, shows that only 9% of failure is based on someone who was not passionate about their business. Mm-hmm. And so what that tells me is that there's still 91% of the people who start a business do it out of passion and purpose. Mm-hmm. And so what they've lacked is not a passion. It is typically around either competence or confidence or fear, are the typical ones on the higher rating of the survey as far as percentages go. So, but you got to get started. So it's the step that you state. You don't have to be great, but you need to start to be great. So be great at whatever it is that you want to do, and take the first step.
Nice. Love it. So, Dr. Yam, we're about to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing all of your wisdom with us, and just really inspiring the women in my audience to really be great. That was a perfect segue. If you will, before you leave, can you share one action tip with the women in my audience today, something they can put in place today?
Okay, so I thought what would be helpful for your audience, in what I call, keeping everything simple, is that how can you have a simple pitch or a simple intro that you can have kind of in your back pocket, and you can kind of put it to memory in a real simple way. So take your pencils down and write this out real quick for yourselves, or just hit the rewind button on podcast. But a simple intro or pitch statement can be made of the following: I am a blank who helps blank be, do, or have blank. If you fill in those blanks and make a simple sentence, you are able to tell people who you are, what you do, and how you can have an impact. It's just that simple. So I'll repeat. You want to write down, I am a blank who helps blank do, be, do, or have blank. And again, it's the quickest elevator's pitch introduction that you can have whenever you're running up into somebody. When you speak in those terms and you give it a complete sentence, you've already set a picture for the person who's heard it. And they will be intrigued and be like, tell me more. I guarantee it.
Yes, yes. Or they may even say, I need that.
Exactly. So you've already painted a picture, saying a very simple sentence, and it's going to get you a very long way. Even for those who haven't started yet, get into the habit of saying that for yourself, because you want to start putting yourself in that space, in that mindset. So who are you? What do you have to do? And how are you going to change someone else in the service or the product that you provide?
Nice. Very nice. I love it.
Thank you.
Dr. Yam, thank you for stopping by today. I so appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Audience, thank you for being here. We will see you on the next episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives, and have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast, where we help women to be truly inspired to live their most amazing lives. Please subscribe to the podcast to be notified of new content each and every week. Please like, comment, and share with the woman who inspires you most or someone you would like to inspire. See you on the next episode. Goodbye.